It's not really ignoring your insecurities, it's kind of just appreciating that only you can see your insecurities. When you start to appreciate the fact that only you can see your insecurities, that is when your insecurities vanish. Because they might still be there. I'm not saying that your insecurities are going to go, but you can start operating at a level that's 10 times more powerful than the actual level. So if you're terrified of even speaking to someone new, if you just have in your head that if I go and say hello, I'm already so much more confident than anyone else, that I'm already like doing something that no one else can physically do, that is going to work in your favor, because then they're going to see that power because you've already put yourself in that position of power. Does that make sense? Hello. Hi, Harvey Hooke here. Still at my family's house, going through some old stuff, found my old velvet suit. Actually, have a look. Look at the cows. Bet you guys haven't seen cows and sheep and kangaroos. Today I wanted to give you pretty much the biggest mindset shift that will immediately eradicate your insecurities. And if you can adopt this, I'm not saying that you have to adopt this, if you can adopt this, you'll actually find that a lot of your life will become a lot easier because you have this immense internal power shift. Something that will be so strong that no one will actually kind of notice it, but you'll notice it, and it'll start to permeate through kind of like all your everyday life. So I said this to someone once when I was accidentally drunk, and turns out, this is when I was drinking, by the way, I don't really drink anymore, but turns out it was one of the most powerful things that I ever said to this person, and he keeps repeating it to me to this day, and I just think it's really funny because I was drunk at the time. But I told him, and the cows are really moving. I told him that people in power put themselves in positions of power. And what apparently I meant by that, because I was not really conscious at the time, what apparently I meant by that was just that you just have to put yourself in the position of power. You don't really have to have power, and by consequence, well, that's what I meant. Obviously everyone else has a different interpretation. But by consequence, when you do put yourself in a position of power, you kind of gain that power. So what I mean to unpack this, my hands, but what I mean to unpack this further is just to appreciate that when you put yourself in a position of power, kind of all that power that will be associated with that position comes with you. So another way of looking at this, and I actually realized I kind of look really good in black. I should just like ditch all the other clothes and just be Captain Black. But another way to look at this is if you go on a date with someone, you have the power. I'm not even talking about just like guys dating girls, girls dating guys. I just mean in general that when you go on a date with someone, they're attracted to you. Like brutally honest. And you just have to kind of reminding yourself this, that like, oh, I'm here. I'm attractive, as much as I might not think that I'm attractive, as much as I might think that like, hey, don't look at this right here. You see this position right here? Don't look at this because this is the most unattractive bit. The other person that you'll be on a date with will only be focusing on that bit because you will have expressed it. You will have like pretty much just brought attention to it. Similarly, because you have that power, because you have that position where you can just assume that everything you're doing is working, you can then act in accordance, because the reality of the situation is that it's the Pareto's law, like 80-20 law. When you actually look at things, like if you're thinking like, oh shit, I hope that person likes me. Oh shit, like similarly, like when I produce these videos, I'm like, oh shit, I hope that everyone watching likes me. And it's, you know what, it's a real thought that comes through my head. But when the reality of that situation is, if you're watching this and if you're watching it to this point, then chances are you probably like it. And I just have to keep reminding myself of that. And I've also seen enough evidence that people have actually got benefit from these videos that I can then have the confidence to then further push it. And with the program that I pushed, you know what? This is the first program that I pushed out. I was pretty nervous, but you know, I just had to have faith. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm here, I'm putting myself in a position of power. That's all I can ask for myself. And then when people started buying it and I started getting messages being like, you know what, this has actually really worked for me. I'm like, well, of course. Of course it's worked. I had no faith that it wouldn't. But when you allow yourself to appreciate the fact that it's not really ignoring your insecurities, it's kind of just appreciating that only you can see your insecurities. When you start to appreciate the fact that only you can see your insecurities, that is when your insecurities vanish, because they might still be there. I'm not saying that your insecurities are going to go, but you can start operating at a level that's 10 times more powerful than the actual level. So if you're terrified of even speaking to someone new, if you just have in your head that, you know what, the simple facts that if I go and say hello, I'm already so much more confident than anyone else, that I'm already like doing something that no one else can physically do, that is going to work in your favor, because then they're going to see that power because you've already put yourself in that position of power. Does that make sense? But when you do that, and you don't like hesitate, you just understand that the fact that you've done it is enough. That's where the magic happens. This is why I always talk about the whole idea of go first. When you go first, when you speak to someone new, that's you putting yourself in that position of power. You've rocked up and you say, "Hi, new person, I'm here to talk to you. I like you." You don't even have to like speak to them at a romantic level. You'd be like, "Hey, I think you're cool, you're interesting." And you've already assumed that power. Now, if you do that and then you say, "Oh, I'm so shy, I can't talk to anyone," that's then doing the whole like, "Don't look at this," and they're going to focus on that, which then shoots you in the foot, because then if you have insecurities, then you're bringing it up into light, and it's kind of like a thing. Now, I know a lot of people are very emotional, and that's good to be emotional. Like, I really genuinely think that, because I think the emotions are how we like navigate the world. But when you let your emotions influence you rather than you influencing your emotions, that's when it doesn't really work out. That's when it kind of gets in the way and a bit of a higgledy-piggledy. Just a simple reminder that assuming power gives you power is all it takes. And so just quickly then, how this applies, how this goes to the dating world. If someone gave you their number, do you think they would give you their number because they see your insecurities, or would you think they give you their number because they're attracted to you? That's pretty much what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. And when you just assume that you're enough because you are enough, that your ideas and your values and everything that you are as a person is incredibly unique, like no one ever can possibly have your life experiences. And some people might think that that's horrible, that some people might think that, you know what, like, I'm not as good as that other person because they've had more experience. No one is ever going to have your exact life experience. So no one can have your flavor. No one can have how you view the world. No one can actually like have that kind of power that you have, because no one can see the world exactly the way that you will. And I really hope that you see that. And just to cap this off, I have a really interesting story where I met someone and she was so depressed. She was so depressed. She was put into government housing because she was that depressed. And I tell you this story because I really want you to get benefit out of it. But me being me, I did not pay attention to her depression. I understood it, I recognized it, and I paid respect to it. But then I chose to focus, now here's the thing, focus on the part of her that is her true authentic self. And I saw someone who was extremely bubbly, extremely caring, and extremely just who loved food. So I just spoke to her about food. And she had a million things to speak about food. And as much as she told me how she's terrible at speaking to people and how she's so antisocial, she also was so confused because she's like, I'm speaking to you more than I've ever spoken to anyone else. Like, why is that? And I was like, just overfill your cup. When you overfill your cup first, what happens? Like, it kind of explodes onto other people. But yeah, this is just this idea. I really hope you got something out of this video. I know I was a bit manic in this video, but that's because this is something I genuinely like, and I also ate a lot of food before this, so I probably have all that food energy in me. Yeah, so if you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you like the fact that this was in the countryside and I pointed out all the cows and all this kind of stuff, let me know. I'm thinking of doing like getting another little camera so I can do like mini vlogs of where I am and how I am and who I am, rather than just like, hi, this is Harvey Hooke, and in this video, if you click in the link here, you will get product Z, because in actual reality, like, I think people genuinely care about the people that they watch the videos about, not just the concepts. And I know you guys get a lot of value out of these concepts. And like, once you apply it to your life and stuff, I've seen the value that you guys get, but I really feel that you guys also need to see part of my life. Yeah, anyway, cool. So, yeah. Is this thing on? All right. Oh, you got something on your face. It's like, it's this whole thing. All right.